Okay, we are live. So tonight we are chatting about selling the intangible. And right off the bat here, I have to give a massive shout out to this book that is like 500 years old. And it was written by Harry Beckwith, I think is his name. And it's called Selling the Invisible. So this is kind of a play on some of the things that I have learned from him in his book, as well as me going down the rabbit hole and learning so much more about how we as service providers can really communicate with our prospective clients what the heck we do. So very, very excited to share this with you. If you do want to share any part of this presentation or snap any of the slides, feel free to tag me on Instagram. I love seeing any of your takeaways, your shareable moments, the quotes that really resonated with you. So absolutely feel free to share. Okay, so I want to start off with just a quick little quote here, that we trust what we can see and we're suspicious of what we only hear. And so, like I mentioned just in the pre-chat before I started recording, when we can see something and it's very tangible, like you're out at the store, you feel that you can trust it because you see the physical object. There's no taking that to the cash register and then getting home and realizing it's something completely different, right? The laundry detergent is laundry detergent at the end of the day. But when we hear about something, a coach or a consultant or a service provider is merely telling you what they do, we are a bit suspicious because we're not holding on to something tangible, right? So again, to compare that, it's the difference between looking at the wall of products and seeing exactly the ingredients, the calories, the brand recognition, the variety of comparing side by side, to trying to sell something invisible. So this is a snapshot from one of my group Zoom calls. And oftentimes I'm trying to tell people on discovery calls what the visionary method is, how this community operates, the benefits they're going to get from connecting with their peers. It is a totally different ballgame. So my wish for you, for all my clients, for all my students, is to have more people find out about your magic. I know you're good at what you do. All of you on this call, everyone watching the recording, I work with people who I truly believe in their services, people who are doing things that just don't align with what I know to be true about life. I send them to another business coach because I make sure that I fully support and can stand behind my clients' magic. And so I want more people to know about your magic because transformation is on the other side of them working with you. So my hope in this masterclass that I'm teaching is that through the 3-part system, you can show your magic, your brilliance to more people. You can easily communicate it and stop confusing them about what you are selling. I love this quote that says, "You have brilliance in you, your contribution is valuable, and the art you create is precious. Only you can do, and you must." And I know you're all creating right now or are in the phase of launching. So before we get into the system, I just need to remind you too that you are brilliant. There is a superpower inside of you. You have something radically unique to offer. Whether you believe that or not, it is unique because your life experience and your learnings, they cannot be duplicated by anybody. No matter if someone even followed the same journey, the same schooling, they worked the same job as you, they still can't duplicate what you have gone through. But once you hone in on, okay, I do have brilliance, I do have something unique, I did go to that one cool workshop and that helped me learn this and that and this, does everybody else understand that? Does everybody else see what sets you apart? Or have you put yourself in this crowded pool of what everyone else is doing, right? You are some sort of therapist, you are some sort of coach, and you're advertising your services as such. I am a life coach. And then you make a program that sounds like Life Coach 44 and Life Coach 97 and Life Coach 1043. And when compared side by side, they all look the same. And then you wonder, why doesn't mine stand out? Why am I not hitting my, targets of clientele? It is because you are not capitalizing on your uniqueness, your difference, and you haven't yet figured out how to productize your service, how to make your service a brand of its own, a product of its own. So you may think that you sell what everyone else is selling, but the short answer is you don't. Which, it could be true that you are selling the same thing if you're not being careful in the way you brand it, the way you market it, if you don't have unique visuals. Your client may think, well, you offer 60-minute nutrition sessions, so does the other person. What's the difference, okay? But there are a few simple tweaks you can make to differentiate. Everyone's services can be made different, so don't think for a moment that you do something so unique that you cannot differentiate. And I really want you, I know some of you are in the early stages, maybe you haven't even made $1 in business, maybe you've only made your first 50 or you're still scaling past 100,000. You need to be able to leverage the position you have, okay? So you don't need to pretend you're someone you're not. You don't need to tell everyone you're the #1 wellness coach in the world. That's not the point. It's to leverage your uniqueness and to really call out those differentiating factors in the transformation you can provide to your clients. Because you're building a package, a signature offer that's different, okay? Well, that's a little bit of an intro. Let's get into the 3-step process. 3 steps, really, really simple. I'm very, very excited to share this with you. Okay, so step 1 in selling the intangible is to name your brand. So many people overlook this in the early stages of launching an offer. Okay, here's what I mean by this. So you want to name your brand, name your signature program in order to claim it, to say, this is my own. This is my intellectual property that I've put onto paper, and there are 0 other people in the world who teach this exact framework. So building a brand with a name, instead of saying, I'm a nutrition coach, calling it the slim down method, for example. So doing that, instead of just saying, I offer nutrition coaching, that is a decision-making shortcut for your consumers, because eventually they recognize some credibility in your brand and it sits in a league of its own. They're not just hiring nutrition coaching, they're not searching that, they're actually searching and referring your program or your brand by the name. So this begins with choosing to name your offers, and I'll explain this. And this is really going to help you to totally banish comparison syndrome. So here we go. What you are selling should be branded. I know it's scary, but we've all heard how branding is so important in marketing, okay? It's a huge pillar. And you maybe have been thinking what is branding? Like getting a logo? It's more than getting a logo. It's also in the words you use. So a few examples to hopefully put this into context. Instead of saying something like, I have a 6-week nutrition coaching package, maybe call it the slimming protocol. Or instead of calling your first session, that discovery session when you meet with someone and you start giving them a couple tips and you just signed them as a client, instead of calling it the initial session, that's boring, right? When you show them the roadmap, why not call it the diet overhaul? So kind of coming up with that key name that starts off your journey together. Or instead of calling something the non-toxic home, I can't even see what I've typed here because my Zoom is covering it, the non-toxic home green cleaning recommendations, whatever it says, call it the non-toxic home blueprint, right? So come up with something clever for both the name of your offer as well as the different components that come as part of your offer. Okay, so if you do like the bathroom overhaul method, within that there should be the the cupboard makeover. There should be the green cleaning experience. There should be the redesign lab. Like, make it something proprietary to you. At that point, people are going to be so intrigued. Like, what are all these unique components of this bathroom makeover framework? That's really going to hook them in, okay? Just in naming. So this was something that I had a huge realization in when I started selling the visionary method. I named the course without even really knowing this naming framework, and I've stuck with the visionary method ever since. But when I first started teaching the visionary method, I had this elaborate sales page, and it said things like, Module 4, learn how to write your business plan. Module 5, create your signature program. Module 6, start to market yourself. It was really boring, bland. Everybody is teaching those modules. So I sat down with myself and I said, well, what am I really doing? Can I create something that is more of a brand name for each of these modules? So instead of write a business plan, I call it the Visionary Impact Map. Instead of create your signature program, which I tell you is taught by thousands and thousands of other business coaches. Look it up. I instead call it the High Ticket Offer Incubator. And it is my specific process for taking people through these modules. So I feel confident and happy that I have branded it as such. You can put the TM behind anything without actually trademarking things. So let me make that very clear. I know it's weird. I know it's kind of silly. I don't know how everyone feels about that. It kind of is just a vanity metric, but I love using it. You do not have to have a registered trademark in North America to use the TM. To use the R in a circle, you have to have a registered trademark. To use a TM, it is just used as a symbol. And I will get to questions after. So a couple other things. Oh yeah, I was explaining my process. So I used to call the first call the first call. Now I call it the revision session. I used to call the second module Uncover Your Uniqueness. Now I call it the Brilliance Finder. I used to call the third module Leadership Training, but nobody wants leadership training. They associate that with their corporate job. Now I call it the CVO Creator. So you get the point. This is something that I did to revamp the entire branding around the visionary method. And this is going to continue through the step 2 and step 3, these names that I have now crafted. So a foolproof formula for naming, you don't have to follow this. I'm just showing you my formula in case you are stuck and need some guidance in naming. Starting with the word the. So depending on whether you're naming your program as a whole, like the organization method, or whether you're branding a specific module, like the cupboard clean out blueprint, doesn't matter. So you can use this formula for any. So the, and then a word that describes the module or the brand or whatever you're teaching. And then the last word is a word to describe how you're teaching the content. Lab, method, course, framework, journey, etc. So if you were a women's only fitness facility, you might call it the Femin Fit Method, the Full Body Strength Framework, the Movement Lab, the Flow into Yoga Journey. And get creative here. Synonyms.com is my favorite website in the entire world. So try it out, okay? You don't have to be creative to come up with names. There are many websites that can assist you. So here are some examples. I made some of these up. I found some of them on the internet. I know people who teach these. The Content Incubator with the TM. Sounds cool, right? The Visionary Life Lab. That's a program that I'm just in the works of revamping right now. It's my old health coaching course. The Will Writing Blueprint. Okay, so if you teach people how to write their will, you know what you're getting from this. The Will Writing Blueprint. It sounds nice. The Contract Shop. That's where you go to buy contracts. The Facebook Ads Vault. Okay, so you're probably starting to think, okay, yeah, I've definitely seen people name their programs following this formula. It just never clicked in that this is kind of what they were doing. So in the invisible world of services, words are the ultimate weapons. Words create the reality that you perceive and the reality that your clients are going to perceive you as. Okay, so that's step one, is the naming part. Step two is building the model. This is going to take you a bit more time, but I assure you it is worth it. This has changed the game for me. So in order to build the model and to productize your service, to actually make some sort of product that people can see, you want to show a visual process of what your clients are about to be transformed through. So this is what I'm deeming the model. You know what you do, but the reality is most people don't know what you do. They kind of hear you talk about your services. So, oh, okay, you can rehab me back to health. You can help me to eat paleo. They don't get what's involved between where they are now and how they get to the point of eating fully paleo or being fully rehabbed from their injury, right? You know what you do. Your clients do not. Assume they are not listening. They are not processing what you say every time you jump on Instagram. They need the visual. Some people really, really do benefit from seeing the visual. With the visuals that I'm about to show you, I just want to encourage you to use color, use beautiful imagery, express yourself. I love David Ogilvy. He's like one of the earliest advertising persons. He says you cannot bore someone into buying your product. So if you think that your website or your sales page or your Google document that shares what your offer is, if you think it looks boring, then don't expect to sell a lot, right? People want fun. They want to see character. So yeah, try not to bore them into buying your services. Okay, so when I say make the model, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Now, this is the model that I made to convey what the visionary method is. I actually hired someone to design this, but I assure you, you don't have to. So that's just it up close. It's a circular kind of, I don't know, starry night, geometric, whatever you call it. But it basically depicts all the different steps inside the visionary method. So when I'm on a discovery call, I'm literally walking people through this, and I keep the visual up, and then I zoom in on each portion and I tell them what I'm going to teach them and what the transformation for them will be in each component. Okay. And in coaching, in group coaching, every single week when we chat on Wednesdays, I'm focusing on one of these key pillars. Oops. This was one of the early iterations of the model. It's not obviously what I ended up going with, but it's an example of what a model could look like. This is another example, 3 intersecting circles of a model that one of my friends made. This is a simple model, could be made in Canva. It's a triangle and it has a few different components. And the goal is to work your way up to the top, kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you could do a triangle. You could do a big circle. This is another model that my friend sketched out. It's called the RPM model. So 3 circles, and then there's all these different pillars coming around it, okay? Lots of choices here. This is author Jim Quick's Limitless model. So he's talking about how to become limitless, and he's got all these intersecting circles, and it's really cool to watch him talk about it if you ever find a video on YouTube where he's chatting through it. So think about this. Everything you see, look around you, pick a couple objects. Probably everything you're looking at started as a drawing, right? A blueprint. Somebody sketched it out. Somebody sketched out your desk and said, yeah, it needs to be 2 meters wide. Okay, now build it. So everything starts as a drawing. Why not your service? The shape you choose, like I just showed you a few, it should convey the message you're trying to convey. So don't feel like you have to copy any of those. At the end, I'm going to leave you with an exercise to visualize that shape you want. But maybe you want your shape to convey balance or opportunity. or directness, like maybe it's a line that like accelerates them. So what is the story that you're telling about your services? Is there an end? Is it circular? Is it up to the top of the mountain type thing? And the benefit of productizing, so building models like these, is that one day when your business grows really big, somebody else can actually teach your model for you. So you could hire somebody who gets on sales calls on your behalf and says, the visionary method is all about going through this model. See, you start here and then you go here. It takes you out of the equation if you're ever thinking of scaling past yourself. Because we know as service providers, our hours become capped at about 40 hours per week, give or take, right? So this could allow someone else to also teach the Get Healthy method. Someone else could teach the clutter-free blueprint. So, you know, it gives you opportunity to dream big. And then step 3 is all about making a scorecard. Now, if you can only get to the first 2 steps, totally fine. Even if you can only get to the first step, that's fine. Then making the model, that's great. Number 3 is a little more advanced, but I'm telling you, if you do the first 2 steps, you should be able to bang this out in 1 hour, okay? It shouldn't take you too long. So making a scorecard. So what you're doing with a scorecard, let me just go back, is you're giving people an opportunity to have some tangible data of where they are now so that they can see improvements to where they want to go. So it's like an intake form for people who are inquiring about working with you, but they can't quite see your service, right? They're still confused. How are you going to get me to have like a better body in 60 days? They're like, I'm not really comprehending. A scorecard actually puts a number or a percentage to where they are now. It's like you're at 25% of your fat burning ability. When you go through my method, and when we follow my model, I'm going to get you to 100% fat burning capacity. Or I'm going to get you from sleeping 30% of the night to 100% of the night. So they score themselves using a scorecard, and then they realize, well, shoot, I better work with the service provider, you. So it's not too complicated, because what you're doing is you're taking the different steps of your model. And if you're like, Kels, what are you talking about with a model? You need to go back to the high ticket offer incubator, and you need to go through actually making your signature program, right? What are the different pillars? What are you actually teaching? How can you structure it? So if this isn't making sense, it will. You just actually need to go to the more basic workbook. This is more advanced stuff, but it's going to come in handy. So once you've named all your different modules, you've named your program, then the goal is to now put a metric beside each of those modules to gauge where somebody is at in terms of, are they failing in this area? Are they doing okay, more mediocre? Are they thriving in this area? So for each pillar of your offer, maybe you go through like the decluttering phase, and then you go through the cleaning phase, and then repopulating and redesigning phase. You want people to score themselves on where they are now. So what you need to do is look at those modules that you've scripted out for your client to go through and write out a statement that needs to be evaluated by them. So for me, for the revision session, which is my first name in the module or in the model, it says, how clearly can you articulate the vision that you have for your life or business? As a coach, I hope someone can clearly articulate it. That's why I have workbooks about vision, about goal setting. So my goal is to have them score a 3 out of 3, where they say, I can clearly articulate what I want and I'm ready to get it. That's great. But the reality is most people aren't there. They score themselves at 1 or 2. Have an idea, but lack clarity. Okay, throw in the 2. We're the Brilliance Finder. Do you know what your strengths and superpowers are, and are you using them on a daily basis? So a 3 would be, I utilize my strengths often and I am recognized for them. CVO creator, what percentage of your working hours are spent doing productive income generating activities? I want people to know what they're supposed to do. They have a clear plan each day. Are you confident in the experience you deliver? Okay, so you get the point. So knowing what modules you teach or what headers you have, try and think of what statement could I pose that would get a response from someone of either I'm not doing so well, I'm doing okay, I'm rocking this area, right? So it could be 1 to 3, it could be 1 to 5. You might have different percentages. So no right or wrong way to do this. I've never been formally taught how to build this, but I just like heard someone talk about it. I ended up going through one of their scorecards and it was crazy brilliant. And I decided, oh, I need to implement that in my own business. And then I started studying how when somebody scores themselves, they've already opted into your service. They are not then hearing your jargon of like, my program is the best. My program is awesome. It's like, okay, I see you have this program. I see that I am not doing very well in this area of my life. I am clearly not very organized and I want to be. I am clearly failing to feed my family healthy food and I want to be. And then they score themselves and they go, okay, I'm at a 7 out of 21 and you're telling me I can get up towards a 21 out of 21. And I say, yes, when you join the weekly calls, when you reach out to me for support, that is the goal, right? So I'm painting the picture and I'm allowing them to really see that they are in need of this service. Okay, so I told you I was going to breeze through that fast. Now your only 4th step is to visualize what you want to create. So visualization is one of the most powerful strategies for creating your visual, whatever, of your invisible. So sit with it, think. Take 10 minutes to close your eyes right after this and visualize the names. What words do you love? Okay, sit with that. What words? I love the word brilliance, which is why you will hear me say it a lot every single day. That's why it's in one of my modules. I love the word impact. I love the word intensive, because like when I teach marketing, I like to like go intense with it. So use the words that you like. Don't copy my words. Don't copy everyone else's. Visualize the names you want. Visualize the model. I was so lost when I was trying to design a model. I was like, I have no idea. I knew what I didn't want, which was like harsh shapes, but I didn't know what I did want. So I had to go to Pinterest. I had to get on Pinterest and type in things like, I don't know, like constellation, dainty, yet powerful. Like, I don't know, I was busting out the weirdest words. And I took about 6 to 8 photos and I sent them to the designer that I worked with off of 99 Designs. So someone on 99 Designs or Fiverr could do it for you, or you could do it in Canva. Use a shape. And also visualize what that scorecard, what questions do you want to ask to your clients when they come in to work with you? And can they score themselves on a scale of 1 to 3? It could even just be a scale of 1 to 10, right? How confident are you in organizing your closet? Scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you in keeping your kitchen clean? Scale of 1 to 10, right? And then be like, by the end of my program, I want you to be at 100 out of 100. Imprint these visions into your mind, and then it is time to get down to business, i.e. create the thing. Don't take too long on it. Just do it while it's fresh. You need to rewatch this. I'll post it. So if you have any questions, let me know. But I'm going to stop recording.